Hi. Welcome back to Movies Recaps. Today I'm presenting a comedy drama film from 2019 titled A New Rich People. Spoilers are ahead. Be warned and enjoy. The film opens by introducing a woman named Tika. She is a university student majoring in architecture and comes from a modest family. Because of her humble background, she was often bullied by her peers. Next, we meet Decker, Tika's second brother, who is a theater major. Decker dreams of one day becoming a professional producer. Lastly, there is Dottie, Tika's youngest brother, who is still in elementary school. Even though their family struggles financially, these three siblings always manage to live their days cheerfully. In fact, to score free food, they once attended the wedding of a stranger until they were eventually expelled after being caught by the bride and groom. Then one day, their father suddenly passed away, leaving a deep sorrow for the simple family. Inevitably, they had to learn to cope without a father figure. Even Tika and Decker expressed a desire to quit their studies and begin working. However, their mother deeply respected their late father's wish for his children to reach for the sky. The following day, quite unexpectedly, a lawyer and his assistant arrived bearing a video made by their father. In the video, their father revealed how much he loved his family and disclosed that he was actually the son of one of Indonesia's richest families, inheriting a vast fortune. For 21 years, he chose to live a simple life so that his wife and children could become self-reliant and humble. Yet after his departure, he planned to leave all his inheritance to them so they could finally experience what it felt like to be wealthy. At first, they found it hard to believe, but when they visited the bank to withdraw funds, they actually received 500 million rupiah, and, astonishingly, they could withdraw the money again once it ran out. After returning from the bank, they headed straight to an upscale restaurant and rented a VIP room. Unfortunately, the VIP room was meant for 5 people, yet there were only 4 of them. They then decided to invite one of the fruit ice vendors working outside the restaurant to join them for a meal. After eating, they continued to the mall to splurge on luxury goods. The next day, Dottie suddenly became the center of attention at school because of his noticeably unique appearance. Meanwhile, Tika and Bayu grew closer, largely because Tika now had access to a lot of money. When Bayu's motorbike broke down, Tika casually bought him a new one for 19 million rupiah. However, upon arriving home, Bayu returned the motorbike and explained to Tika that he couldn't take it for granted, since he had worked so hard for his previous one. Their money, initially the 500 million rupiahs, seemed to vanish in just a few days due to their extravagant spending. Afterwards, they went back to watching the video of their father, in which he promised that soon they would receive 15 billion rupiah. Once the money was withdrawn, their lives quickly descended into chaos, spent entirely on sprees, buying a house worth 8 billion, expensive furniture, even buying the security guard at a furniture shop, and 3 cars at once, even though none of them could drive. On the other hand, Tika's old bullies began to approach her again, and her relationships with her longtime friends grew increasingly strained as she now spent more time with her wealthy new acquaintances. This change greatly affected the quality of her preparations for the upcoming physics Olympiad. Meanwhile, her relationship with Bayu became increasingly tense due to past events, especially after Tika humiliated Bayu by buying him a motorbike, even though he later apologized and he graciously forgave her. On the other hand, Decker's theater performances improved as he became flush with money, and he even began underestimating the actor fees as if money would never run out. Similarly, their mother started squandering money on buskers in large amounts, even appearing on TV shows for her viral spending on street performers. Since receiving the inheritance, the mother had grown greedier, Tika became prone to drinking, and Decker increasingly relied on the inheritance money to finance his theatrical productions. Then, one day, the lawyer returned yet again with a videotape from their father. In it, the father declared that his inheritance had been exhausted. Decker was confused, needing funds for his theater shows, and for the first time in days, they found themselves utterly penniless, an all too familiar state for them in the past. Soon after, Tika's best friend, who came from a rich background, began distancing herself again, as did Decker's friend who was starting to feel disappointed. The only one who sensed the change in the family was Dottie, who now found himself alone even at dinner. One time, while Tika was having a panic attack, or disc attack, she overheard someone remarking that despite being smart, she was prone to such episodes. From that moment, Tika resolved to change her habits and refocus on the Olympiad. She even begged an old friend for another chance. After that, things began to return to normal. Tika started participating in the Olympiad, the mother distributed basic necessities to the poor, and, miraculously, Decker managed to secure funding for his theater performance. However, everything soon turned awry. The mother found people jostling and pushing until some were injured, Tika got caught using drugs with her friends, and Decker apparently received funds from campaigning representatives. As a result, the show, which was expected to go very well, was ruined. Everything fell apart, but fortunately, Tika's urine test came back negative, and their circumstances weren't dire enough to make them utterly miserable. One night, the lawyer arrived with someone claiming to be the father's younger brother, a person they had never known. He wanted to claim all the property left by their deceased father. They had no choice but to hand over everything to him. Yet from that bitter experience, they began to realize that possessions were fleeting and that an extravagant lifestyle could destroy everything. They came to believe that money and fame do not guarantee happiness. Long story short, they returned to their old home and resumed a simple life as before. Tika and Bayu eventually decided to get married, and Decker began to accept his current situation. But just before the film closes, another lawyer appears, showing the final videotape of their father apologizing for having stolen his family's happiness through the influence of his younger brother. However, it turns out that the man on the tape is not the father's actual younger brother, but rather a close friend of the father instructed to pretend to be his sibling. It becomes clear that the father's wealth is still substantial. He simply wanted to teach the family a lesson, that having abundant wealth cannot conceal one's tenderness, and that even vast riches cannot restore a friendship that was once beautifully built. After that, the movie ends. There you have it. What did you think of that movie? Like and subscribe and share your thoughts in the comments section. See you next for more fun recaps.